like the Wukong are still up and available for Weiwei to grab away. Champions like the Kai'Sa and the K'Sante are also up for grabs in terms of what they prioritize. But I feel like with this Kai'Sa getting locked in, I mean, they're just looking for a very similar poke comp that we could see out of both Xiaohu and Light once again. Sejuani can also be considered here with the Renekton being extremely comfort for the TheShy, but I mean, there's just so many champions available. The Zyra Khan's also up for LP and LvMao if they want to take that, but it's anyone's game.
It certainly is. I'd love to see a carry locked in for Weiwei, but it is going to be the Sejuani in the end alongside that Kai'Sa. So very powerful picks. That can't be argued as Wei goes for the Wukong. It's a classic combo with the Annie. Perhaps could go for another priority pick. Maybe your AD carriers can be something that can be pinched quite hard, especially now that the Kai'Sa's already locked in for Light.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they just lock in their feelers as they do just here. Most play for LP as well. Huge comfort just defaulting to what's been working for them so far into the summer. Just those huge AoE ultimates coming into these team fights and playing front to back for these hyper carries that is going to be provided towards LP. But we'll have to wait and see. Renekton and Jax is still up and available for the topside matchup, as we will see a narrow down of the support champion pool coming into 4 and 5 bans. Champions like the Khan most likely going to be denied away from Crisp. I mean, considering how well he did in that game 1, right? But champions like the Rel and Alistair also up for grabs.
Certainly are. I feel like there's a ton of stuff on the table still for both teams here.
No Milio.
Weibo. No Milio. I hope we don't see the Milio. Honestly, after the previous game, I'm not convinced by... To be honest, I feel like every time I see Milio Draven, it's underwhelming. That duo, like, it can be dominant in the lane, but against top teams, they all know how to play against it. They all know how to dodge it. Nautilus is going to be taken off the board. I'm looking towards Xiaohu, though. Like, what does Xiaohu pick here? I feel like Syndra is the one that stands out to me as a big pick, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't think it'll be locked in, but Xiaohu, his classic is the Rise. I would love to see a little bit of Rise coming on in. It doesn't really fit the composition. It wouldn't make sense in the meta, but I'm just saying I'd love to see it. I think it'll be Syndra, though. Oh, no, Syndra's back. Oh.
Yeah, Syndra's
it's going to have to be Rise.
Okay, Punch. But there's a champion that everyone's completely forgotten for some reason, and that's Ahri. Ahri is a champion that JDG and top esports really enjoy for their mid laners, so maybe that could be a route for Xiaohu to take as well, and they look and force those mid-game skirmishes and look through those individual picks. You also can go with something like the Talia, where you're able to play with range up against the Wukong, and of course Breathe is most likely going to lock in the K'Sante or the Renekton as that counter matchup, but we'll have to wait and see. LvMao, I have a feeling he's also going to lock in a melee support as well, so Talia might be huge value here.
Silas going
That's
to be
the Alistair for LvMao.
Talia could be very valuable, and like you say, yeah, Alistair available. We'll see. We'll see how this one's going to go. It feels like we're getting into the depths here with even more mid lane bans. Xiaohu does not look phased on my screen right now. He still looks comfortable, cool, calm, and collected. His Weibo. Going to go for the Rel next. Have that hard engage coming out from Crisp. And Crisp has looked good on this Rel pick as well.
And the scary thing is in his entire career history, he has a total of 29 games. Man is sitting on that 72% win rate, so they're more than happy to kind of blind this Rel into the Alistair matchup, where I was wondering if Breathe was going to show us the Poppy top as that counter into Jackson Sejuani, and he does it. This is the first Poppy game in the summer, and I feel like this is a much more RNG composition that they're comfortable to execute on, looking for those 5v5s.
Let's see what comes out from Xiaohu. Final pick, knows the entire enemy composition. The Yone hovered and will be locked in for Xiaohu. It's been a little while since we saw Yone. I mean, we saw a lot of it earlier on in the year. They seem to have fallen out of fashion. For Xiaohu, bringing it back in, and especially alongside a Sejuani. I like the look of it.
We have seen a bit of Yone in the LPL, and Weibo Gaming, I mean, they have triple melees for that top side, synergizing perfectly with Weiwei Sejuani, but I'm already getting a little bit worried, I will not lie. how is LP gonna survive these teamfights? You don't have so much peel considering that you have an Alistair and Poppy that most likely want to go in. So Tangyuan once again on this Annie, he has to kind of play both peel and front to back team fights for LP to really pop off in those mid to late game team fights. But of course, coming into this game too, Weibo Gaming, they're showing us a very different side of what their meta read is. And with 5 mid lane bans, I mean, Yone is going to be quite the T because this champion is once again looking for those side lanes.
And I've got to tell you something that's quite exciting coming into this one, because I was talking about the Rise, his most played champion. I was talking about the Syndra, his second most played champion. But Xiaohu's gone the opposite direction, because this is the first ever game of Yone for Xiaohu. He has never brought this pick out on stage before. This legendary mid laner who's been playing longer than you've been alive is bringing out Yone for the first time ever here on the LPL stage up against his old organization. Let's see how he's going to do alongside the Sejuani. Let's see if he can find that advantage once again over Tangyuan.
Like you said, Weibo Gaming, they need this series win up against RNG to secure top 6. Let's see if they can clean it out with the final touches.
I've got to say, it doesn't look like a fair mid lane matchup, does it? When you've got a cute little girl in a winter coat with a backpack up against, like, anime warrior dude, shirtless, abs out, 2 ninja swords in either hand. Like, it's not, you know, that's not a fair fight, is it? Realistically speaking.
I'm pretty sure Yone is like possessed by some spirit or demon, as he's already died before. He's Yasuo's older brother, but he's just permanently 18 looking. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Exercise does a lot of good stuff, and also demon possession, apparently. But you know, it's great for the skin being possessed by a demon, from what I've heard. I've not tried it myself, but you know, really good for your complexion. Let's talk compositions here. Let's talk win conditions. You see, both junglers starting towards the top side here, pathing down towards his bottom lane, which is kind of the opposite of what we set up before in the draft when you've got that Jax and the Sejuani. You'd expect the top side. But against that Poppy, it feels impossible to actually play for top lane.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if RNG completely changed their game plan and just focus in on getting LP ahead. If you look at RNG's composition for this game too, LP on this Aphelios is the only consistent damage source that they can rely on once he picks up the Gale Force and the Kraken Slayer, of course. So Tangyuan, I mean, he needs to look for mid priority before Xiaohu picks up his Berserker Greaves and really starts bullying the Annie out, and then start rotating and putting pressure onto Light and Crisp for the first 6 levels.
See if Xiaohu can get out of that lane at all, or if it's going to be all about Tangyuan. Like you said, he needs to get the boots before he can really do much of anything. I'm looking at the junglers as well, though, because in game number 1, Wei had complete vision, complete knowledge of what Weiwei was doing on the map. Managed to get that invade off on the blue buff, managed to pretty much track everything until he was caught out. And then it all went the way of Weiwei. Might be Tangyuan caught out this time as Weiwei moves into the mid lane, but Tangyuan should be able to walk away with his life on this one.
They do have complete knowledge of Wei on the red buff, so with Tangyuan leaning towards there as well. Weiwei wasn't confident enough to kind of commit to this, but we see the Sejuani bullying out the Wukong, but Xiaohu isn't going to have first move to this.
No, but he's got enough presence to keep Tangyuan there, apparently. It's Crisp moves over as well. It's going to be a smite fight, and well, Wei didn't have smite, so Weiwei's going to win that one by default. Chicken's taken. Support of both Crisp and Xiaohu hovering means that they can take that one, as Crisp is now maybe looking for LvMao. Look at this absolute vision control. Oh! LvMao's having none of it. Get out of here, Crisp!
Honestly, I don't know what I expected out of that interaction, but because Wei had to use the smite onto his red buff, Weiwei just took the Raptor camp in broad daylight. TheShy is proxying up against this Poppy because we already know Sejuani and Poppy, they're not going to be able to get their hands onto Breed this early into the game. Perhaps a mid lane gang. Tangyuan doesn't have the stun.
Xiaohu will back away. Luckily for him, Wei couldn't close the gap early enough, and like you say, Tangyuan doesn't find the stun for now. So, still relatively quiet as our junglers kind of sparring back and forth a little bit. LvMao, I will say, getting big value out of the headbutt so far this game. Denying Crisp the potential pick of the bottom side. He keeps on headbutting Light as well to try and deny CS. We saw that at level 1. So looking forward to a bit more of this Alistair from LvMao, as does find a ward in the lane as well and denies any potential shenanigans for later on.
You already see Light starting that call, so it's going to be a relatively even matchup until those items come in. But you kind of see Tangyuan already having a lot of mana usage in just clearing the waves, so he does have to TP back for this first dragon. I am assuming Xiaohu also has his Berserker Greaves available as well, but RNG most likely going to be the ones looking for the 5v5 in this upcoming major objective, while Xiaohu on the Yone, I mean, he needs his ultimate to really gap close onto LP if they want to look for the win.
Breathe with great reactions there. Knew TheShy was going to try and go for the trade. Gets a grasp proc as well. And that is this top lane in a nutshell. If you can get the steadfast presence, deny the leap strike, deny the counter-strike stun, Poppy wins it. However, if the reactions aren't good enough from Breathe, if he doesn't get that grounding, if he doesn't stop the stun coming through, the trades can very quickly start going the way of the Jack. So it is very much down to execution.
It's kind of a mind game of who uses their CC first in the top lane matchup. Of course, it should be relatively easier to execute as the Poppy. You have to just be reactive, while TheShy has to be a little bit more cheeky with how he procs the stun, or at least the leap away. We'll have to wait and see though, because you already see RNG securing that vision control in the river, or at least priority, as LP decided to take the Berserker's Greaves to have that extra bit of movement speed to kite away from Xiaohu.
Yeah, going for the Berserker Greaves first. And we'll see if it's going to pay off for them. Wei's in trouble again.
Not
this
again!
Weiwei, he's loving that popcorn chicken. Just swipes him off of the counter. Wei not having a fun time. Does not have that same kind of jungle dominance that we saw in game number 1. First Drake is up onto the map here, and LvMao wants to try and get some vision control. Him and LP will be able to clear the control ward. In the meantime, Xiaohu and Weiwei playing towards that top side. Still a minute and a half until Herald's up onto the map. Crisp does have to be a little cautious where he walks in that jungle.
And he does have the Tibbers available. I wouldn't be surprised if he just drops it onto either Crisp or Xiaohu just to burn them out, at least put them to half HP to really force that numbers advantage. You don't have TP available for Xiaohu, but we'll have to wait and see.
Nice little sidestep from Tangyuan. He'll get out of that one. As Weiwei not far off a level 6, about 3/4 of the way there. I feel like that's the moment where things start to actually get a little bit dicey for Tangyuan. Luckily for him, the sidestep means he doesn't have to burn his flash or anything like that. Flash is going to be crucial for the side of RNG, pretty much all players, once Weiwei has that ultimate online, because there's a lot of burst and follow-up when a Sichuani ultimate hits.
And the crazy thing is look at the vision control that Weibo Gaming's been able to find in the opposing jungle. Weiwei, you need to kind of CS up and find that level 6 here. We have a bit of a wraparound from the bottom lane.
Looks like a fight might kick off here. Headbutt used defensively as LP is onto Light. Light is alone in this play right now, and the sustain is there from LP. Moonlight Vigil forced. Light still has his own ultimate available, and honestly, I think you'll take that as Weibo. You forced out the ultimate from the enemy AD carry, but Light is so low, I don't know if they'll actually want to stick around.
And Weiwei has finally started doing his Gromp. I feel like both junglers are really desperate looking for that ultimate to come online, as we still have the red buff available for the RNG jungler. But like you said, Light has 2 cookies in his inventory, so should be fine taking that trade-off. But once again, whoever gets the objective first and gets that vision control should be the ones coming out on top. But Breathe is getting pretty low in this matchup.
Here's Grandmaster's Might was being used there. Demolish will be procced. That's one plate for TheShy, who just then strolls on out. And the thing is, like, yes, Poppy is going to be able to withstand the Jacks, but you're not exactly going to find kill pressure very much. TheShy, being able to crash these waves in, has opened up for Weiwei to start the Herald. Solid start in the top side.
And the biggest difference for RNG's composition is that they don't really have a great answer for this Jax and Yone in the late game. They're most likely, Weibo Gaming is looking for a 1-3-1. The ultimate from Xiaohu.
Xiaohu wants to finish off his replacement. Tangyuan Just walks away though. Not a single ability used. Just strolls out of the mid lane. RNG still commit to the Drake. It's just Xiaohu making an effort of it and won't find anything. Can at least get himself a plate here.
Honestly, credits to Xiaohu for going for that. We had the entirety of RNG starting up the dragon. They were not far off. And he still went for the kill angle onto Tangyuan. He doesn't have the TP available, so unfortunately missing out on a couple of waves under tower. TheShy. Aww.
I think Breathe was ulting him to try and make the wave crash, but it was just a tiny bit too late. TheShy was holding that wave further away, but it does freeze. And that's really rough for Breathe. He doesn't have teleport available. This should lead to a reasonably large CS lead for TheShy if he just holds that wave there.
And you see Weibo Gaming's priority on these early game tower plates, and it's been doing wonders for them. I mean, yeah, RNG take the first dragon because once you prioritize these tower plates and they get their item spikes around that 3 item into the game, I mean, they can realistically just contest at the 3rd or 4th dragon and completely take you out in a 5v5 skirmish. But we'll have to wait and see. Weibo Gaming, they are putting a lot more attention towards that top side because either the Jax or the Yone ahead means that RNG, they don't have an answer in that side lane and they have to force 5v5s in mid.
Certainly do. And it's going to be, it will be exciting when we get to those 5v5s because I feel like we've got some big ultimates in this game, right? Where, you know, on the side of RNG, you've got the Annie Wukong. It's always fantastic for starting 5v5s. The Fairly Assault on top of that. Alistair loves a big old team fight. But then on the other side, Weibo, not too shabby either. You've got the Rel for the engage, Xiaohu ulting across the team, Weiwei's ult to start fights. Not to mention Light and TheShy will be more than happy to dive on in if an engage is found. So it does feel like both teams can go for team fights. It's going to be all down to when and where those fights are found as LvMao tries to find the ward. Xiaohu does have his soul to jump on back to.
And Xiaohu also spots out where Wei is for the jungle in support of RNG moving together, which are also going to get spotted on this dot bush. A very slow and quiet early game coming out of both teams, but I feel like if there aren't any major objectives to really fight over, Weibo Gaming are slowly coming out on top. They have to wait for the Kai'Sa hitting 3 items to look for the poke. And honestly, I have a feeling that once they do reach that stage, it's going to be pretty difficult for RNG to reach this Kai'Sa because she's going to be 2 screens away throwing those Void Seekers at you.
Yeah, she really is. I mean, the AP Kai'Sa is so difficult to play against. And, I mean, Weibo, they can just sort of play a very slow game. And remember, I'm looking towards the Yone from Xiaohu, because let's say we get into the scenario. Oh, hang on, it's a dive at the top side. Breathe just absolutely wrecked TheShy.
He just dunked on this Jax under tower as well. He had the flash available, but no one really expected the Poppy to do so much damage from a single combo. That's 2 plates into his pockets.
Not too shabby. As Breathe, I mean, he's a player that was known for his carries back in the day, but very much came into his own on these tanks. Now on the Poppy, obviously comfortable. An attempt of a play onto Wei here as the whole team jumps on in. Xiaohu just CC'd up the entire time. He dived in and then just got rinsed. RNG trading 1-for-1 those. TheShy in the midst of everything. It's just an absolute maelstrom of chaos on the rift here. Weiwei flashing out safety. TheShy on 1 HP is Light trying to trade the kills as well. LP in a 2v1 against the Rel, against the Kai'Sa, but they'll walk away. It's 3 kills for RNG.
And the game explodes out of control. The solo laners of Weibo Gaming shut down from that skirmish. And LP, he comes out on top. He survives, although flashing over the way, the wall. I mean, this Aphelios goes untouched.
Certainly does. Manages to sweep up some of those kills. We get another look at the solo kill here. I feel like just a bit disrespectful from TheShy.
Yeah, TheShy did manage to dodge out on 2 Qs beforehand, but because he used the Counter-Strike to get that minion, I mean... Anyways, we had double TPs coming out of both top laners for this skirmish, and it did look really good for Weibo Gaming. Like you said, Xiaohu instantly shut down. Cyclone cancels TheShy's dash onto the carries of RNG as well, and then Light on this Kai'Sa. I mean, he has a static shield, but it doesn't provide as much consistent damage compared to something like LP, who does have the red and white in this team fight. And I can't believe LP just walks out of here flashing over the wall.
I mean, did you see the hit that TheShy did onto LP? He just W'd him, and it did like half of his health almost. That was a brutal tap, but that was pretty much. It was pretty much the only time that LP took damage in the whole fight, aside from just kind of passive AoE. That was one of the most difficult team fights to track I've ever seen, where everyone is literally just jumped on one spot. Everyone just smashes R. It felt like it was just a stat check of like, okay, who has bigger health bars? Because whoever has bigger health bars, you win in the fight.
Pretty much, because Weibo Gaming, although they lost Xiaohu very early on, Crisp came in and had a huge magnet storm, but it wasn't onto LP, so he was free hitting that entire fight. And something else that was extremely crucial was TheShy came in with a great flank TP as well, but the Cyclone just unfortunately cancelled that counter strike from landing onto 3 or 4 members. But RNG having complete momentum right now. They're gonna start this up, but LP doesn't have any summoners available, but Weibo Gaming, I don't think they have what it takes to really trade for this and then go for the Rift Herald.
Yep, so 2 Drakes for RNG. It's a really nice start for them. Gold is almost exactly even. And hey, like RNG compared to game number 1, they have an infinite increase percentage-wise in kills versus the 0 of game number 1. 4-1 now. It's weiwei trying to find his opposite man, but Wei with the clone, difficult to engage upon. LvMao, however, could be a juicy target, has to use his ultimate.
Yeah, but once again, RNG, look at their composition. They want to be looking for these scrappy 5v5 forces out of Weibo Gaming. Crisp is caught!
Oh, Crisp is gone. See you later, Tibbers. Gonna absolutely one-shot him as Wei looks for TheShy as well, who will be knocked up, but the counter-strike comes in. W goes wide from Light, and I think that's all she wrote for Weibo on this Herald attempt. They're gonna have to back away and look for the next play.
You really see this composition crumbling. We have the Gale Force available for Xiaohu. The combo isn't going to land from LvMao, but RNG, they're in a very comfortable position in this game because they got kills into the pockets of Annie and Aphelios while not trading any major objectives, because you need to remember the fact that Xiaohu has to look for angles on side lanes. He's not going to provide as much compared to Tangyuan on this Annie when it comes to straight up 5v5 roles. And Weibo Gaming, they have to play the game a little bit slower and kind of go through the macro and slowly tear down at RNG.
And I will say, we were talking about, you know, this Aphelios being the main damage threat. So far, Tangyuan has been the damage threat. Crisp walks in and, I mean, where does his health go? He's just gone.
He walked in and he never walked out, I guess you could say. But weiwei, he definitely ran out of the Rift Herald pit as Breathe wasn't even there. That was a 4v5. Or at least the top laners weren't there. And imagine if Poppy was in the equation, she could just use the Keeper's Verdict to bounce someone out. And I feel like RNG, they're really using the momentum. The next step is to take down these tier 1 towers with that Rift Herald in hand.
So we reset once more. 17 minutes on the clock here, and it is RNG with the lead. This is more what we wanted to see from RNG. I feel like game number 1, I was like pulling my hair out, waiting to see the RNG that we have seen consistently. They go to 3 games in every single series, and maybe they just wanted to lose game number 1 so they could guarantee 3 games. They were so confident in their game 2. Maybe not. But we do see them finally fighting for the early game, finally making things happen, and maybe just target banning Xiaohu could be the answer. There was, what, 5 bans towards Xiaohu across both teams? Or 5 bans towards mid lane at very least. As Tibber's going to come out in the top side. Weiwei is going to be here. Just hits onto the clone, like you say, but it's enough to save Xiaohu's life. The threat of it, at very least. It's a tower taken regardless, though. And it is RNG pushing the envelope on this one. 3,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and that goes back to our point where Weibo Gaming, they've been extremely reliant on Xiaohu being the main carry for that early to mid game, and then it allows to give a leeway for Light to really scale up on these AP carries as well. But coming into game 2, RNG targeted Xiaohu's entire champion pool and every single mage answer into the Annie that can outrange her. So, like you said, the first Yone, I don't know why I had a stroke. Yone game coming into
I'm pretty sure you said it right.
I know, but my tongue just twisted on itself and it was really awkward. It's been a long day, but TB from TheShy. Oh, that's Xiaohu.
Oh, Wei's in so much trouble. He's already used his clone as well. The stun comes out to Xiaohu, but it doesn't matter. Wei's been caught out. And remember, game number 1, Wei getting caught out in River. That was the moment that Weibo kind of just took control for the rest of the game. Light moves into the mid lane to clear this wave out. Dragon spawning in 50 seconds means Wei will be back on the map in time. But Tangyuan might not be lucky enough to survive long enough. He's underneath the tower here, clearing the wave. Will survive. Just one shots the wave, basically. LvMao next on the chopping block. Weibo are desperate for another pick, but they're not finding it. Now a TP in from Breathe to try and capture a player. They're on to Xiaohu here, and the damage is good. Tangyuan onto the man he replaced, and he finds a kill. 3:02 now in the game as TheShy threatening.
Oh,
Tangyuan again flashes forward and again finds his mark. The players of Weibo scattered to the winds.
And RNG, they bought so much time. Their jungler's back for the play around this Ocean Soul point now. And that was just clean team fighting coming out of Tangyuan's Annie. And there's a reason why this guy, most played in the summer, also has a 75% win rate. LvMao.
Oh no, they're finding even more. Crisp has gone down as well. TheShy is trying to escape with his life, but Helicopter has to come out just to keep himself safe. Herald down in the mid lane, and I mean, Weibo, they kind of have to retreat on this one. This is not only going to be Drake for the side of RNG, but they've got a mid-tier 1. They've got a charge on the tier 2. I don't think they'll stick around for more there, but my goodness. RNG finally back onto things, and this is a bit more like what we wanted.
And RNG take complete control over this game. Although Wei was the one that was initially picked off by the side of Weibo Gaming, Tangyuan on this Annie just got such an insane angle onto Xiaohu for this year. I mean, this Xiaohu just got deleted instantly out of the fight, to say the least. But we have TPs coming in from Breathe as well, connecting onto the Yone, stopping him from any escape. And we also have TheShy joining in at the back, trying to get his counter-strike onto the AD carry of RNG, but the insta-cleanse and also Breathe and LvMao standing on top of the AD carry. TheShy never found an angle for the flank, and RNG just playing front to back.
And I have to say, like, my biggest conclusion of this series so far is you have to ban Annie against Tangyuan. We saw Weibo ban it in game number 1, and RNG basically didn't exist. Tangyuan has Annie for game number 2 and has been the main character of this game. Every single fight feels like his tippers, his damage is so crucial for the side of RNG to find these moments. It's a bit of a mid-diff here, and it's not in Xiaohu's favor. Emperor of Spring struggling in summer, it seems. That's maybe a bit of a reach on this one, to be honest, but here we go. Weibo contesting on the Baron. RNG in the pit already, 7k on the objective. There's no vision in the pit as TheShy moving over. He doesn't have TP, so this is 5v4 until he arrives. Baron down to 3k. Are RNG willing to just commit to the objective? Xiaohu whiffs his ultimate, and Tangyuan survives for now as they find Rel, they find Sejuani. Xiaohu can go nowhere. Cut down by LP, and RNG, they're just rinsing him.
Close your eyes, Weibo Gaming fans. That team fight went horribly for the side of Weibo Gaming. Now, TheShy is going to get picked up on the Jazz. Can he get a return kill?
Oh no, they can't even finish off LvMao. And Light will go down. It's utter disaster for Weibo. And look, we said these two teams are inconsistent. Game number 1 and game number 2, if you took the HP bars or the name bars off, you'd assume that the winners were the same team. You'd assume that this was Weibo 2-0, but no. The health bar swapped around for this one.
With this Munch, you have Chris going in, but Xiaohu targeting Tangyuan, who is the main DPS, misses the Yone ultimate onto the only person that was in range of it. And you had TheShy getting the Scuttle Crab before this Baron was started, and he was so late to the fight. Weibo Gaming extremely split off, and RNG, they want to end the game before this split comes online.
You know, Kitty, this is the first time we ever get to see Xiaohu's Yone on a professional stage, and I'll be really okay if it's the last time we ever get to see Xiaohu's Yone on a professional stage. Oh dear, with Seal, bit of a disaster, keeps on getting caught out on this one, and you know, like, there was a great many bans towards him. It's not worked out, brought out an experimental pick for himself. It's RNG now with the Baron in pocket. Look to siege in that mid lane. Tangyuan in the side lane, just like game number 1. This time though, his team actually has some presence elsewhere on the map. This time it can actually work out.
Munch, there's double stopwatches available for both LP and Tangyuan in this upcoming team fight. Weibo Gaming, they only have one chance. The initial engage from Crisp that allows follow-up from Weiwei or Xiaohu is going to be the only time they get their CC onto either the Aphelios or the Annie. But with the stopwatch, I'm not too sure who they target.
What a story for Tangyuan. Cyclone to deny the engage here. Wei is tanking the tower though, could be in trouble, but the health bars are gone. That was a Moonlight Vigil and a half from LP. Is TheShy just getting a stun?
Oh no, not again!
Oh god, no, my eyes! I wish I couldn't see it. It's RNG annihilating Weibo here as they just stroll into the base. The death time is plenty long enough for a Baron up wave to finish the job here. RNG just walking in at 24 minutes. This was brutal. Weibo, playoffs form for game number 1. I don't even have a name for the form of game number 2. Disaster on the Rift, and we're going to 3.
Weibo Gaming fans, you popped the champagne way too early into this series. RNG, they have something to say up against Xiaohu in particular, and this Yone, I mean, Tangyuan just completely styled on the